What is going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football alongside of Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk, bringing you guys the Red Zone Blitz this week, talking about the NFC East and other various and very important NFL topics. So without further ado, my partner in crime, Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk. Ezra, how's it going, man?
Everything is good, and I must report this weekend specifically, I enjoyed some movies that I went out to go see. Guardians of the Galaxy, loved it, awesome movie. Hercules, better than Lucy, but that's not saying much. Solid performance, okay, solid.
Well, at least you enjoyed, a nice, movie, kick back, relax. I had to help my girlfriend's sister move from one place to another, so a lot of back breaking.
Whoa, keep that personal stuff to yourself.
No, it was a lot of heavy lifting, furniture, and things like that. So I'm a bit tired.
Wow. Hopefully not your back. You know what I mean, Tim.
PG.
We always keep it PG here on the Red Zone Blitz. And this past weekend, there was something important, football related, because this is the Red Zone Blitz. Hall of Fame game, Hall of Fame introductions. Out of all the Hall of Famers that went in this past weekend, David, which one were your favorite inductee? Not the speech, but your player.
To be 100% honest,
uh-oh,
I was not able to catch it because I was busy all weekend. Now, do you have a list readily available of who the players were who were inducted? I know Michael Strahan was.
I know a few. I know about 3 or 4 top of my head. It was Reed, the wide receiver from the Bills. You got Williams from the Rams, cornerback. Michael Strahan from the Giants. Oh, my boy. One of my favorite all-time players, Derek Brooks from the Buccaneers. Those are the 4 that I can know on top. Oh, yeah, those 4 on top of my head.
Let me see if I have this list here somewhere. No, this isn't it. See, I know Michael Strahan was one of those guys that could be argued as one of the best pass rushers of all time with the statistics that he put up at the end of his career. One guy that I could not stand when I was growing up as a football fan, it was very early on in me really finding football as a passion, was Aeneas Williams. Because when it came time for Brett Favre to play in the playoffs, I'll never forget this game when the Rams went to the Super Bowl in 2001, and they ended up playing the Patriots, and Tom Brady had his whole emergence or whatever you want to call it. Aeneas Williams destroyed Brett Favre in the playoffs. I will never forget the score of 45-17 in 2001 in St. Louis. And I just never liked the guy ever since because he hurt my team. My team lost because of him, and it also lost because of Brett Favre's decision-making. But that was one guy I would not pick for this. I'm trying to find a list of these guys.
But that dude, where you're just talking about, I just said Derek Brooks is one of my all-time favorite players, but I was so happy to see Williams get an off. He was so underappreciated, okay? Maybe because he played for the Rams and the Cardinals. But he's truly one of the greatest defensive backs of all time. Like he's probably up there in the top 3, top 5. This guy was a playmaker, a shutdown corner. He did it all. He was never up there with the limelight with Deion Sanders and those type of guys, the Ty Laws, and he never got that pub, but he was up there. He was as good as those guys easily. Guy was amazing, and he was a playmaker. Yeah, I think he had over 50. I think he had about 56 career interceptions.
If you want the list is Michael Strahan, Andre Reed, Walter Jones, Derek Brooks, Aeneas Williams, Claude Humphrey, and Ray Guy. That's the list of names there who were inducted into the enshrinement in Canton. I mean, if I had to pick one, I don't really have a favorite, to be honest. I mean, Strahan or Brooks, because those are the 2 guys that I kind of grew up watching. Ray Guy couldn't really, I can't tell you much about him. Andre Reed was a little bit before me. Walter Jones.
Great offensive lineman.
So to me, it'd probably have to be
Stud.
between Strahan and Brooks. Those are the two guys I would have to probably pick between. So
I just want to, before we get into the NFC East, I want to stay on the Hall of Fame real quick. Next year is like half of the Rams from that, greatest turf or the greatest show on turf is eligible next year. Orlando Pace, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Kurt Warner. Out of those four, or all four, you think they should go in the Hall of Fame? Just quick.
I don't think all four will.
I don't think all four
two.
will.
I think at least two will.
Which two?
I'd say Isaac Bruce and Kurt Warner.
I think the surefire Hall of Famer out of those four is Orlando Pace. And I know there's been, some debate a lot with Kurt Warner. I think the man is a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure about Isaac Bruce, even though he has the numbers. If you go statistic, but this is not baseball. If you go based on numbers, Isaac Bruce should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Torrey Holt was better. I say 3 out of the 4 are Hall of Famers. Torrey Holt, Orlando Pace, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner is one of the greatest playoff performers of all time. Man, he was automatic in the playoffs. Automatic. And if you think about it, if those 3 out of the 4 go in the Hall of Fame, you got Marshall Faulk in there. That's 4 Hall of Famers on the offensive side of the ball. That offense, man. Whew. That was scary good.
You have to give him credit for going to the Super Bowl with the Cardinals late in his career, and making them contenders. I mean,
I think that's what pushed them. I think that's what pushed them into that Hall of Fame more. I think that got him a lot more voters.
Yeah, and for a team like the Cardinals, who had been what they were year after year, they weren't very good. They were a team that consistently struggled, weren't able to perform very well, and didn't make the playoffs. For a guy like Kurt Warner come in at the age that he was, he led that team. He made Larry Fitzgerald shine, and I don't know what, they weren't able to, win that game. Everyone remembers that catch by Santonio Holmes to kind of seal it. But
if he would have won that, he would have been walking into the Hall of Fame yesterday, automatic.
But yeah, and don't forget, I mean, he does have a Super Bowl ring. He does have a Super Bowl win. Back in 2000. So, he's a guy who's been to 3 Super Bowls and he's won 1. He has the credentials. So yeah, I'd say Kurt Warner, would probably be one of those guys who ends up getting in.
I hope so. He truly deserves it, and that just shows how good that team was. Man.
Before we jump into the NFC East, one last thing: the Andy Dalton deal that was made today. If you haven't heard, Andy Dalton's received a contract extension, 6 years, $115 million. Big contract for a guy who has led his team to the playoffs for the last 3 years. But I don't think you could label Andy Dalton as a top 10 quarterback. I don't know if you can label him even as a top 15. He's a top 20 guy. He's a guy who's going to be able to keep your team in contention. But is he this elite guy? Is he this elite quarterback who deserves the money that he received? Now, again, we don't know how much of it is guaranteed. We don't know how much money he'll be getting paid up front. We still have to kind of work through the details on this contract. But do you think he deserves this money, Ezra? And what does this say? And what does this mean for the quarterbacks who are about to get paid in the near future, like a Russell Wilson?
That means cha-ching, cha-ching. That's what it means. But second of all, yeah, he deserves this contract. People talk about his playoff success. People were never talking about Bengal playoff success before Andy Dalton got there. Was the Bungles? What's they used to call them, the Bungles? It doesn't. Let's give him some credit. Not top 15. I think you kick him in the dirt, David. All right. I think he's clearly a top 15. I haven't ran through all the names in my head, but you got to remember, guys, this is just a going rate. $18 million per year is the going rate now for a quality QB. It's not you're getting paid elite. Kaepernick just got $18 million per year, but like Mort said from ESPN, the devil's in the details. He broke it down. I don't have all the details, but he broke it down. He says essentially a 2-year deal, and if the Bengals feel Andy Dalton is not the guy of the future, they can get out of it in 2 years. So 2 years in the details doesn't sound too bad. You're still evaluating Andy Dalton, and you Bengals fans should feel happy or feel confident about that if you were a little skeptical about this deal. It's only a 2-year deal essentially, and if he performs, I guess he'll continue with the contract. If not, they'll just rip it up and they'll just draft a new guy, etc. But overall, he deserves it. Kaepernick got this much money. Look at his numbers. Who's got better numbers? Andy Dalton. And they compared Peyton Manning, Andy Dalton, and Brett Favre. Okay, their first 3 seasons in the NFL, Andy Dalton had more wins, and I think he had more touchdowns. Or he had the same amount of touchdowns as Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning had like 81 touchdowns, and Andy Dalton had 80. So let's not slam the guy too much here. I think he deserved the deal, and this is just a going rate now for a quality QB, not a top 5 QB now.
And for me, I mean, the thing is, the reason why I like to be a little bit more hesitant when it comes to these contracts is I like to look at the salary cap. I like to see, where teams are allocating the money that they have for their team, who's, the top 3 or top 4 guys who are getting paid on that team, and what position is it for. Usually, like we're talking about here, usually the quarterback is paid the highest amount, if not second, third, somewhere in there. Usually he's paid the highest on the team if he's a solid quality guy. Andy Dalton is now that guy for the Bengals. So you have to ask yourself, is he going to get better? Do we have faith in him? And can he lead us past the wild card or the divisional round?
Plain and simple, as a Jets fan, I wish he was on my team. I wish he was my QB.
That's coming from a Jets fan.
Well, I'm just saying, not wish, like if I had to pick a quarterback out of the whole league. I'm just talking about if I could switch Geno Smith for Andy Dalton, even with that contract, come on down.
Yeah, and I think half the league would. About half the league. So I guess what I'm saying is he's somewhere in that top 15, but he's not top 10. He's a guy who, if he can develop and continue to develop, he should be fine. And the going rate at $18 million a year, I think it's fair, and it's only going to be inflated even more.
Andrew Luck is happy. I'll tell you that. He sees these deals, he's like, yeah, baby. Oh, 20 to 23 million's coming my way. Don't you think? Easy?
Yeah. He'll. I mean, the thing is, if he took his team to the wild card round in his rookie year, he took the team to the divisional round last year. If he takes them to the AFC Championship game this year or the Super Bowl,
I don't think he needs to get that kind of money.
I think Andrew Luck is going to explode on the scene this year. I think we're going to be talking about Andrew Luck as a top 3, top 4 guy this season. I really do. And they brought him the weapons. They bring in the weapons. T.Y. Hilton's young and talented. Reggie Wayne is coming off of injury. Hakeem Nicks is now there. Trent Richardson in the back. Hey, Trent Richardson is a guy who might bounce back this year as well. I know you don't like him, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but Ezra, I see your face down there.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything, sir. I might draft him in fantasy in the 8th round. Don't worry about it. He won't drop that far.
I still have faith in Trent. I do. I mean, he's going to be the starting guy now that was it DeLone Carter? Who was it?
What are you talking about? The other running back?
Yeah, he got hurt. The name isn't coming to my mind.
Are you talking about Amal Bradshaw?
No, Bradshaw, no.
You talking about the guy that went to the Chargers? Donald Brown?
I can't remember the name. I think it was Carter who just recently got hurt, and now it's pretty much it's on Trent Richardson's shoulders at the running back position.
You got a problem if you're in the Colts if he's on his shoulders.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But back to Andy Dalton. I think it was fair. I'm a little bit more stingy when it comes to salary cap things like that. I'd say maybe 15. But you can't be stingy when it comes to finding a guy who can.
Don't be stingy about the money. Andy Dalton, making it rain. Gotta pick up my dollar bills.
Only on the Red Zone Blitz.
Andy Dalton. Oh, I can't. I wish I was a stripper in Cincinnati. I'll tell you that right now. Andy Dalton gonna be making it rain. That's all you need to know.
I think Andy Dalton is married.
So
I don't know if you'd find him at a strip club.
I got a girlfriend. I can hit the strip club. I get permission from Andy Dalton. I'll be there. I just wouldn't go with Adam Jones. You know, that's it. Just don't go with Pac-Man. If Pac-Man invites himself, that's when Andy Dalton says, "Sorry, bro. Chill out. This is my money. You stay home, okay?"
All right, let's get to the NFC East. Let's start with the New York Giants, because they just recently played last night against the Buffalo Bills. Taking a look at their win from yesterday, I believe they beat the Bills 17-13. I didn't watch the game. I didn't get a chance to. I know, Ezra, you said earlier that you didn't get a chance to watch it either.
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what I was watching.
I didn't really get to see a whole lot. I know Sammy Watkins wasn't. He was on the field but didn't catch a ball for the Bills. A couple other players that were on the field that people kind of wanted to see didn't do a whole lot. But if we want to break down the Giants, kind of their offseason, who they've drafted, who they've brought in, and who's departed, taking a look at their draft class, my handy-dandy binder here, I think when you look at their draft class, first in the first round, Odell Beckham Jr., super high on that guy. I loved what I saw on tape when I evaluated him, and I really thought that was a really good pick for them. Weston Richburg, the center, in the second round. Jay Bromley, the defensive tackle, in the third round. Andre Williams at running back in the fourth. Anthony Hitchens at outside linebacker in the fourth, and then they went with another safety, outside linebacker, and cornerback in the fifth and sixth round. Wasn't a super fan of what they did after Odell Beckham, but if you're a Giants fan, I would be so excited to watch Beckham develop. The only thing is, when you're a Giants fan, is I'm not very high on Eli Manning. I don't know about you, Ezra, but statistically speaking, and how he produces, I feel as if Eli Manning is a turnover machine. So I think he needs to correct that coming into this season. Last year, I think he had a career high at 27 total turnovers. He really needs to turn that around if the Giants want a shot at winning this division. But any thoughts on the Giants coming into this conversation for you?
Health, okay, and line protection. They got a little younger on the offensive line. You gotta like that. They got Peyton Manning, another weapon. You already see Beckham, but it was their rushing, okay. Manning throws a lot of interceptions when he has to throw a lot, and he doesn't have a balanced offense. Last year, the Giants did not have a rushing attack because, unfortunately, David Wilson. He was hurt last year, and he had fumble problems the first 2 years of his career. And unfortunately, you guys heard today, his career won't be able to continue. The doctors have advised him to retire, and I think he left a message on Instagram that he will continue his life without football. So, even though I was never a big fan of his, it's sad to hear. He had a lot of potential, a lot of explosiveness, and his career's done. But they just did not have that. They did not have no health. Didn't they sign a guy off the street last year? Oh man, didn't they go back to Brandon Jacobs towards the end of the year? That's how bad their running back situation was. They were actually ranked 29th in the league at 83 yards a game. So the Giants just need a balanced attack. And this year they signed Rashid Jennings from the Raiders, and he's expected to be their every down back, and he's a quality back. If he can provide and his team can go closer to 100 yards or a little over 100 yards a game, I think Eli Manning's interceptions will go down. It just needs to be a balanced offense, and they do have a new offensive coordinator from your Packers, that they picked up. What do you have thoughts about him?
He's a guy who understands how to spread defenses out with what he had in Green Bay. Now, I believe Mike McCarthy was the play caller there. but he still had, you know, the interaction with the league's best quarterback. He still had, the say in, how they wanted to do things schematically. So when they drafted Odell Beckham Jr., you have a guy like a Victor Cruz and a Ruben Randle. These are weapons for Eli Manning. He's going to come in. Now you bring in Rashad Evans or Rashad
Jennings.
Rashad Jennings. I'm thinking of MMA for some reason. Rashad Jennings, is a guy who can be an every down back. Showed that he could produce with the Raiders last season. The moves they have made so far have made sense.
What only your guy? Since I live here in New York City, they're talking about this guy has implemented more of a short passing game. And, you got Victor Cruz, the salsa dancing, even though I'm Puerto Rican, mine's is pretty bad. And Beckham, who's another deep threat. Why would you bring in, a short pass? I know they want to cut down Manning's interceptions, and I'm guessing a short passing game will take that away and help that situation. But you have receivers that go deep. So that's a little, the weapons don't fit the scheme, what they're looking for. Running, short passing, cut down the turnovers, etc. But the weapons you have on the outside, that's not their strength. So that's the only thing that bothers me.
Well, the thing is, when you cut down on turnovers, you have the ball longer. It's a fact. You're going to have the ball longer. So I think what it does is playing the short game a little bit more keeps defenses on their toes because you never know when Victor Cruz or Ruben Randle is really going to take off on you. You don't know. And when you have those two guys on both sides of the field and you've been playing a short game and all of a sudden you take two guys or one guy long, it keeps defenses honest. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the ball a little bit longer, statistically speaking. And this comes down to math. You hold on to the ball, you have the ball longer, the chance of you successfully scoring improves. And that's what I think, you have to think about Eli Manning playing it a little bit more safe, playing it a little bit more conservative. He fumbles the ball too much. He throws too many interceptions. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it was 27 turnovers last season alone, which was the most in his career. You turn the ball over, you're going to lose games. Let's play this a little bit more of a West Coast type of offense, and that's what they're doing. So
his goal is to hit 70% completion rate this year. But to answer your earlier question, yes, I do believe in Eli Manning. And I've always said before, I think turnovers are slightly overrated. People make too much about it sometimes. But last year was too much for Eli. But he's always been a high turnover guy. But throughout his whole career, he's always been a turnover guy, but he's always been a winner too. When he has a balanced offense and he just has a balanced team. This guy wins games, so I do believe in Eli Manning, and I think he's going to correct most of his mistakes. I don't think he's going to have under 15 interceptions, but I think he'll be around it, maybe 15 to 17 interceptions, and I think that's fine.
I just feel like those 2 Super Bowl rings grant him so much. Those 2 Super Bowl wins.
He's always been a winner. Always been. I'm not even talking.
Just because he has the last name with Peyton, just because he's a Manning doesn't mean he's.
Look at his career.
Look at his career numbers. Look at his career numbers.
Look at the wins. Look at the wins. Man wins games. Okay? You want to look at numbers, okay? You talk about numbers. You kill Romo for not being a winner, and he has fantastic numbers, David. Okay? You can't have it both ways.
I'm just saying, just because he's won 2 Super Bowls doesn't mean he's a top 10 quarterback. In my opinion, Eli Manning is not a top 10 guy. He's not. I don't think he's very good.
Oh, man, I disagree with you, man. Eli Manning, he's just... Every quarterback needs a team, okay? Besides the special ones, Even though the special ones have... Aaron Rodgers has, he has talent around him. Peyton Manning has talent around him. Drew Brees has talent around him. Andrew Luck has talent around him. Eli Manning. See, now you talk about the name. I keep calling him Peyton. He clearly is not his brother. But the injuries, bad offensive line, all contributed to 27 turnovers. That's not all Eli. That team, contributes to that.
if Eli Manning didn't have 2 Super Bowl rings, and he's just played the way he has his entire career so up until this point, do you think he would be a good quarterback?
Let me tell you something. I think you may have heard this before. If my aunt had a sack, she will be my uncle. It's that simple, okay? He has 2 Super Bowl rings. That's all it is. Bro, you can't take it away from him. He's won them. You saw the throw.
Team won them.
You saw the bad catch with the helmet.
Let's not forget. Yeah, and I mean, how miraculous is that helmet catch?
How miraculous was that getting away from the defender, avoiding that sack, and making that throw?
And let's not forget the defense that they had with Strahan, with Tuck.
Like I said, he needs a team.
Yes. And I mean, I just feel like, even though these are players who have Super Bowl rings, let's not put them. Let's not idolize these guys as really, really good players when they played usually they play average. They'll have good games. I'm not saying Eli hasn't had good games. I'm not saying he hasn't had fourth quarter comebacks, because he has. He's had a lot of them.
This is another quarterback I wish was on the Jets. FYI.
I mean, there's a lot of teams out there like the Jaguars, the Jets, the Browns who wish they had these guys. And that's understandable because these guys play above average. But I'm just saying, I don't feel as if Eli Manning is as good as everyone thinks he is.
Hey, maybe if someone said he's top 5, I'll disagree with them or something like that. But you're talking about elite. He's not elite, obviously. But I think maybe when you're talking about second level, that next tier, I think I would put him there. I would put him there with the Ben Roethlisbergers, who else? The Tony Romos. Yeah, I put him there. I put him in that second tier.
One of these times we'll have a Red Zone Blitz deciphering these tiers because we need to work on that.
I think Andrew Luck is in that tier right now too, but he's clearly, he's gonna smoke that tier real quick, running past it.
Okay, let's get to some of their free agents real quick for the Giants. Some of the guys that they've lost and brought in. We've already mentioned Rashad Jennings. We have 2 guys that they're bringing at corner that are slightly bigger names: Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie and Walter Thurmond, who was on the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Those 2 guys come in at cornerback. Robert Ayers at defensive end is now a New York Giant. Any other notable names here? John Beeson re-signed with the Giants.
He's hurt.
Is he?
Yeah, he's hurt right now.
He's out for a couple weeks. Yeah. Peyton Hillis is still on the team. Linville Joseph, the defensive tackle, is now a Minnesota Viking. And then not a whole lot has really. I mean, Hakeem Nicks is a Colt. Terrell Thomas, I think, has made his departure. Justin Tuck is now a Raider. Trindon Holiday, who's listed as a wide receiver, but a pretty solid return man, who shouldn't go under the radar, is now a New York Giant as well. So they've had some guys, make their departures. Teams, not anybody really huge, but I think Rashad Jennings might be the biggest name just because he's probably going to be the starting running back for them. Overall, I think they've brought in some pretty decent talent for their team. I just don't know if there's anybody who's going to make a huge impact for them right away for the New York Giants.
It's funny. They were ranked 10th against the pass last year. Pretty good. But, they upgraded that secondary. I wonder if they thought about the Eagles when they made those moves. Just saying.
And don't forget, Deshaun is still in the division as well with the Redskins now, too. So, you want to argue that it's a passing league, LaShawn McCoy is a guy who changes that up in that division. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of teams definitely are starting to get on board with finding more receiver talent, spreading defenses out. But I'm still, a guy who believes in the running game. I'm still a guy who believes in having those running backs on your team. The Giants being one of those teams who, even though they just lost, who was it? Andre Brown? Or not
Yes.
Andre Brown? Was it
Oh,
Andre?
David
No, sorry,
Wilson.
David
David
Wilson.
Wilson.
Rashad Jennings. They draft Andre Williams. Um, Peyton Hillis is still on the roster, so I don't know. It's nothing great, but they still have guys who I think will be able to produce for them. Tight end is lacking.
Do you think they're overall? Before we end it with them, do you think they're a contender for the division? No, Dave?
I don't know because the NFC East is always the hardest division to predict every single year because you just 2 years ago was the Redskins. No one saw that coming. Last year was the Eagles. Usually you want to pick the Cowboys, but the last 3 seasons they've been 8-8. The Giants have been up and down, and when they've gone to the playoffs and made their Super Bowl runs, they haven't done it with a very great record. I think was the last time they did. They were 9-7.
9-7, yep.
So you just never know with the NFC East, and I can never put my finger on that team who's going to win it. But if I had to say yes or no, if they win the division, I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no. Okay, I hear you. I'm not asking if they win the division. I'm saying are they contenders, and I'm going to say yes. Even though they had all these problems with the offensive line, no running game, health issues, they still ended the year 7-9. Okay, they got hot late, and I think this team, Tom Coughlin, future Hall of Fame coach, he's a great coach, and I think he'll have this team bounce back, and I think Eli will have a better year. I'm not saying he's going to have a MVP type year. I think he's just going to go back to a regular Eli Manning type season with a nice running game and a decent balanced team, and I think they have a chance to get 8 to 9 wins. And with this division, like you said, can win you the division. I know that everybody's got the Eagles as their favorites, and justifiably so because they have the talent and they won the division last year. But I think people, shouldn't sleep on the Giants.
We shouldn't sleep on either is the fact that there's a FanDuel comment box, Ezra.
Oh, we're not. We're going to get in there right now.
Oh, man. Everyone's showing up. You got Cubone Football showing up, Sharky, Nick Ray, Willify, 18 Lockhart. We got the crew tonight, baby. Andre Rios. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, man. We got Nick. He wrote a comment way earlier, 23 minutes ago. David is out with a back-related injury for the next 4 weeks, according to Roto World.
Hey, man. I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of furniture being lifted, so.
Woo, kid. All right, so let's get into the Giants comments. Andre Rios. The Giants are going to regret on passing on Aaron Donald. I think he was talking about their defensive line. And he also thinks, the Giants needed a tight end badly. Talking about their draft.
Sharky also says, I think the Giants addressed the wrong position with Odell Beckham in the first round. I think the offensive line needed to be addressed during the offseason if they wanted to improve. I don't necessarily disagree with you there. I think a guy like a Taylor Lewan could have been on the radar for them, but the Titans took him a few spots ahead. So I think, the whole, bringing in Ben McAdoo as the offensive coordinator there could have been a play into whether they want to or where they, the direction in which they want to take that offense. And maybe that's why they took Odell Beckham. But taking Odell Beckham, again, he's a very talented player. I think he's going to pan out for them. So he might not be a bad pick when it's all said and done.
Here we go. We got more comments. We got 18 Lockhart. Eli Manning is already leading the league in turnovers this year. He lost a fumble yesterday for those who didn't see.
Andre Rios also says that the Giants need a tight end badly, which I definitely agree with. I thought they were going to target that position in the draft, and they did not.
Well, they won with Kevin Boss, so yeah, I guess they don't feel as strongly for the tight end position as others. Cubone says he asked me, Ezra, you don't think Big Ben is an elite QB? Is he right there with Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees? No. I think he's slightly under, but I said this before on Red Zone Blitz. If there's one guy, one QB I have to pick for one play to, win a game or make something happen, I'm picking Big Ben over anybody else.
Oh my goodness.
I said it before. I'm gonna say it again. I love Big Ben. I love his game, and I think he's, I love him. He's the man. So to answer your question, no, but I think he's in the moments that he needs to be elite. He is elite.
Let me get Drew Brees. I'll take Drew over Big Ben.
Well, if he says Giants 6-10 this year, I'm calling it. You're really writing it, just FYI. Q-Bone saying maybe a passing league, but running the ball gets you to the Super Bowl. Well, passing got the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Seahawks with more of their running game in their defense. But running and defense won the Super Bowl last year.
Q-Bone says if Manning didn't win those Super Bowls, he would be decent at best. Andre Rios says Eli Manning sucks, period. And Willify says, I think David is spot on about Eli.
This is the last comment before we move on to the Redskins. Starkey Sharkey, and I think this is a fantastic comment. Running game, passing game are important, but O-line is the most important. A team can have wide receivers like Calvin Johnson, McNutt, etc., but without O-line, a team won't be as good as that was the Giants' problem. Bill Parcells, the Big Tuna, my all-time favorite coach. You want to build a team? Where you build a team is the line. Offensive, defensive line. If you get those two things right, you already got a solid foundation, baby. So I agree with him.
Well, it's time to move on to the Washington Redskins. Redskins, they ranked 16th in passing yards and 5th in rushing, so they produced on the offensive side of the ball last year, 20th in the versus the pass and 17th versus the run. Defense could have probably used a little bit of help. Taking a look at their draft selections from this last draft, they did not have a first-round pick because of the RG3 trade, so their first pick was the 47th overall pick, which was in the second round. They decided to take Trent Murphy, the outside linebacker, out of Stanford. Third round, Morgan Moses, the offensive tackle. Another third rounder, and Spencer Long, the offensive guard. Bashard Breeland, cornerback, in the fourth round. Ryan Grant, the wide receiver, in the fifth. Then they took Latch Seastrunk, the running back, in the sixth, and then a tight end and a kicker in the seventh round. So, again, another draft class that did not really stand out to me. I think all of the NFC East draft classes didn't really stand out when I looked at them on paper. If you want to talk about them shoring up the offensive line, Morgan Moses could have been that guy, the offensive tackle out of Virginia. It was being talked about as a potential first or second round pick. Fell down to the third round. They took another guard out of Nebraska in the third round as well. What was his name? Spencer Long. So, I think the biggest move by far for them was in free agency when they decided to sign Deshaun Jackson, having him stay in the division and duke it out with the Philadelphia Eagles twice a year. I think that's super interesting. Jason Hasher, another guy that they went out and signed, keeping him in the division, who was a Dallas Cowboy. Thoughts on the Washington Redskins, Ezra?
You were talking about their offense. They got a lot of yards, but it did not translate to a lot of points. They were ranked 23rd with 21 points a game. You got to get in the red zone. Like the Red Zone Blitz here, you got to get in there. You got to score some touchdowns. That's what you got to do when you're in the red zone, score touchdowns. And that's what the Redskins did not do last year. Okay, I know Deshaun Jackson is going to stretch the field, and hopefully, when he does, it connects for some bombs that leads to some touchdowns. Or how about you use that big monster you got in the back, Alfred Morris? But remember, they got a new coach, Jay Gruden, offensive guy, and his brothers are, offensive guru. And the Bengals, you know how Andy Dalton developed. He just got that big contract. Now he's going to try to develop RG3. And I think this is the year he needs to come out and really show that he's a star. Okay? Andrew Luck has bypassed him, by 3 levels. And RG3, he's gotten all the hype the last couple of years. I know he's been hurt and all this crap and blah, 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 and all this stuff. It's time to prove it. It's time to get on the field. If the Redskins want to go somewhere, RG3 has got to lead this team. He's got to get some touchdowns. He's got to be that guy everyone talks about. Their defense, their defense sucks. Okay, they were 30th in yards. So that's going to be shore up, and I don't know if they did enough on the defensive side of the ball to improve that much. Maybe it was a young defense last year. Maybe, with time and chemistry and the team developing, it improved. It can't get much worse. I wouldn't think so. So for this team to go forward, like I said, RG3 and this defense needs to develop.
That's it. I mean, RG3, I mean, can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field for all 16 games? Is he going to be a player who hesitates when he starts to run the ball because of all his knee problems, all the injuries he's had? And we've talked about this 100 times on the Red Zone Blitz. Don't forget now, he does have a new coach in Jay Gruden. He's a guy who I feel has embraced RG3 a little bit better than Mike Shanahan did. Even though Mike Shanahan was on the team when he drafted him, I think Jay Gruden and RG3, from the sounds of it, have a good relationship so far. So we'll see. I mean, looking at the weapons that they have at wide receiver for him, again, taking a look at the list of receivers, they've brought in some guys like a Deshaun Jackson. They have a Pierre Garçon on the team, Aldrick Robinson. Ryan Grant was just drafted. You can't forget about Andre Roberts, who they brought in from the Cardinals. Leonard Hankerson, Santana Moss is still on the team. So when it comes to the passing game, RG3 had about 3,200 yards last year. I believe statistically, when it's looking at the touchdown to interception ratio, he only had 16 touchdowns last season. He was only a guy. He's a guy who didn't really, produce as well as you wanted him to for where you drafted him a couple of years ago and how much you gave up for him. But again, it comes down to him being injured. It comes down to him staying healthy. Last year, he played in 13 games out of 16. Completion percentage was at 60%, 3,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, fumbled the ball 6 times. QBR was at 40 out of a total of 100. What those stats mean to you, it's really up to it's really based off of opinions. But to me, RG3 is another one of those guys that is a little bit overhyped. He has the potential, and the reason why you really want him on your team is if you can make the run game that he has, his legs, if you can use those to your advantage, he's definitely going to be a guy who can become a top 10 quarterback in this league because he can throw the ball. He has shown that he has the accuracy. He has shown that he has the precision. He has shown that he has the patience. But at the same time, when he starts to panic, when he starts to scramble around, he doesn't know what to do, that's when you put your franchise quarterback in a very dangerous situation, and especially when you start playing more talented teams down the line, down the road, when it gets late in the season, that's when RG3 needs to start thinking, all right, I need to slow this down a second. I can't get hurt because I literally have the entire, Redskins organization, the entire fan base on my back. I'm the face of this franchise. I can't keep getting hurt. And that's what, the Redskins really need to focus on. I think that's why Mike Shanahan ended up leaving, because he wanted to play RG3 more conservatively. He didn't want RG3 to consistently have all these running attempts. Last year he had 86. The year before that he had 120. So I don't know how Jay's going to play him, but I don't think he's going to play him as conservatively as Shanahan wanted to. So we'll see. But I think this does really, really come down to the production of RG3 and whether he can stay on the field or not.
And, these guys are writing a lot of comments. Like I said, you got to feed the big fella. And I'm going to get to your guys' comments. Alfred Morris, he's, we know, this team ain't going to go nowhere as long as RG3 develops. But if you want this team to be competitive week in and week out, and you want them to be there at the end of the game, you got to feed the big guy. Alfred Morris, especially in the red zone. Why is this guy not having more? This guy should have double-digit touchdowns. Plain and simple. That was Mike Shanahan's era. Okay, and we always knew he's always had very good running teams. Like I said, they were 5th in the league last year in running. This year, I want to see in the red zone, give this guy the ball. If not, RG3 make something happen in the red zone. He's got to develop in this. This team's got to develop, and when you have a chance to score points, you got to put it in. No lollygag, okay?
I feel like the Redskins are always a team that gets overlooked in this division, and usually it's rightfully so because they always usually end up being fourth in the division.
It's always one thing. It's like if they have one good thing, like when their offense is good, their defense is bad. When their defense is good, their offense is bad. It's like, come on.
I don't know what it is with the Redskins, but I want to see what you guys think. I want to see what the guys in the FanDuel comment box think about the Redskins. Let me refresh these comments. Because now it's an interesting division now that they do have RG3. You know, it's going to be more exciting rather than always having the Redskins, you know, finishing last when it comes to predictions. You can't always say that. Now we do have a Redskins fan in the house. Redskins HGTR10 says the offense will be more open and not just fake read option and throw a slant to Garcon and screen. And I can agree with that with the addition of Deshaun Jackson. You know, Deshaun is going to stretch the field vertically, and when you have Pierre on the other side, now you have a dual threat, and defensive coordinators aren't necessarily going to, you know, double cover one person over the other. I think both guys can evenly, you know, bring a deep threat on the left and right side of the field. So the addition of Deshaun Jackson is huge to this offense. It really is. So I can agree with Redskins HGTR and his comment there.
Okay, we got Cubone football, Redskins. We got a lot of predictions here about the Redskins. He's got the Redskins going 10-6, first in NFC East. He also writes Moses was a steal for the Redskins. Oh, I think it just refreshed on me. Thanks, YouTube.
Moses, like I said, you know, first, second round talent guy that everyone thought that's where he was going to go. He fell to the third, so could be.
Let me see. Well, so we got another prediction. Wow, my thing keeps refreshing on me. I apologize, guys.
Redskins HETR also says that one reason the Skins defense was so bad was the defensive line couldn't get to the quarterback, so it came down to pass rush. And I can agree with that. I think they also need to find a solid nose tackle. I think right now on the roster it's not Barry Cofield. Hold on, who is it? Is it Barry Cofield? It is Barry Cofield at nose tackle right now in that 3-4 scheme. So I don't know what to think about Barry, to be honest. You know, he's 30 years old. You know, hasn't really produced a lot, but in his defense, he's played all 16 games for the last 3 seasons with the Washington Redskins. Durable player, you know. And as a nose tackle, he's gotten. Let me see here. 8 sacks in the last 3 years. That's not terrible as a nose tackle. You know, he's still getting in the face of quarterbacks and running backs, but you just don't hear about these players' names. And when you do, it's bad. Like Brandon Merriweather. You know, Bakari Rambo hasn't panned out for them. Now they have Ryan Clark at free safety. David Amerson could be a guy who ends up producing this season for them. And then you have D'Angelo Hall, who's 100 years old. So
I don't know why that guy he keeps getting paid, getting nice contracts, and has a starting job. D'Angelo Hall.
Good for him.
Wow. He must know somebody in that organization. Oh, man. Anyway, we got Andre Rios saying Alfred Morris is going to lead the team, and he also writes, RG3 needs to mature as a pocket passer for the Skins to succeed. Starkey Sharkey says, Redskins have a great offense, but their defense is god-awful. If they had a good defense, they would be a Super Bowl contender, but because of their defense, they are 7-9.
7-9. I mean, the key piece, obviously, in that defense is Arakpo, without a doubt. When you look at them on paper, yeah, they bring in Hatcher at defensive end. You have Arakpo, maybe I don't know if Ryan Kerrigan. I don't know what people think about him, but he's not bad. And everybody else, just on paper, they're not huge household names. Emerson, again, is a guy who could end up breaking out this year. Don't forget about, I don't know, you want to talk about Tracy Porter, who they just brought in. I just don't know about this defense. Because I'm looking at their 3-4 base, 3-4 scheme right now, and with the exception of like 3 or 4 guys, I just don't know.
Oh, speaking of, I made a mistake. I said they were ranked 30th in yards. No, they gave up 30 points per game last year.
Last in the league.
That's what I made a mistake at. They gave up 30 points per game.
Can't do that.
You can't
do that.
And you're only scoring 21? Yeah, it's a big recipe, man. They were tied for 30th. Okay, they were up, 0.1 away from Minnesota, who gave up exactly 30 points per game. The Redskins gave up 29.9. Not happening, son. Can't give up points. If you're not scoring touchdowns and you're giving up that many points, it's not a recipe for success. It's not. But like I said, if you control the clock, you score more points, that will help your defense. And hopefully you won't give up 30 points per game this year. And I don't think, like I said, you can't get any worse, right? You can't get any worse than last place in your defense, right? You would think. Just saying.
I mean, there's arguments against it. I mean, I'll use the Packers as an example. When the Packers went 15-1 a couple of seasons ago, statistically speaking, they had the worst defense in NFL history. But they somehow still managed to go 15-1. They lost in the divisional round to the Giants, but the point is, when you're talking about the regular season, how does a team do that well and have such a bad defense? It's weird how things happen. But if you ask yourself, would you rather have an offense that produces at a high level, that scores 35 points a game and has a really bad defense, or would you rather flip it and have an offense that can't really score points but has a defense that just shuts you down? I don't know. But I know the Redskins last year had a very bad defense that couldn't keep points off the board, and their offense wasn't. I don't know. They have the players on offense. They do. They have the players at quarterback. They have even their backup. If RG3 does go down, I like their backup in Kirk Cousins. They have the players at receiver. They have the players at running back. They have a young, talented tight end. Their offensive line isn't terrible. They have the talent. They just can never get it done. So that's my take on the Redskins. I don't know if you guys have more comments down in the FanDuel comment box about the Redskins, but
Starkey Sharky thing. I think during Week 17, all 4 NFC teams will have a chance to win the division. So everybody, he thinks it's going to be. Hey,
you never know.
I see comments here. They got people winning the division with 9 wins, and so it's going to be a competitive division. And I just got called crazy. I don't know which one I got called crazy for. We got Quentin Gray. He said if the Redskins want to win the division, Morris needs to get like 20 to 25 carries a game. Willify says the Redskins are going to be 7-9. It says Redskins, HTTR10, RG3 needs to come, not the ego of RG3. Oh, he said Robert Griffin 3 needs to come, not the ego of RG3. And he said, and he also says, the Redskins said, don't forget about special teams. One of the worst special teams ever.
I never really paid attention to the special teams of the Washington Redskins, so I can't really I can't comment on that.
Hey, but we do overlook special teams, and that does. What can we say?
Yeah, I gave a shout out to
important.
Holiday a bit earlier, I gave him a shout out for the Giants signing him as a return man. So a little special team sprinkled in there.
Well, we got another 35 minutes, so I think we should move on to the high-flying Eagles.
Let's do
it. Let's hit those draft picks.
All right, draft picks for the Eagles. Marcus Smith, the defensive end out of Louisville in the first round. A lot of head scratching went on with that pick. A lot of people did not see that player being drafted in the first round. So I think out of all the players that went in the first round, Marcus Smith was unanimously decided upon as the guy who probably shouldn't have been drafted that high. Jordan Matthews in the second round, I feel like the Eagles made up for their first round pick. Jordan Matthews, the wide receiver in the second round, talented player out of Vanderbilt and has some bloodlines to Jerry Rice. Josh Huff, the wide receiver in the third round. Jalen Watkins, the cornerback in the fourth round, who is Sammy Watkins' half-brother, I believe it is. Taylor Hart, the defensive end, in the fifth. Ed Reynolds, the safety, in the fifth. And Bo Allen, the defensive tackle, in the seventh. Overall, when just addressing positions in this draft class, they did take two wide receivers pretty early in the second and third round. Yeah, you have Riley Cooper. Yeah, you have Jeremy Maclin, but you do lose Deshaun Jackson. I think they needed to replenish that position. They bring in Jordan Matthews and Josh Huff. Could be players who end up panning out for them. Jalen Watkins at cornerback could be a guy who steps in and has a little bit of playing time for them. But I'm really interested to see what happens with their first round pick in Marcus Smith. Where do they play him? How do they play him, and does he get playing time right away? So we'll see how that develops. But you want to break down the stats of the Eagles this last season?
Well, offensively, overall yards, second with 417. Number one, this is their bread and butter. Running the ball, 160 yards per game. Passing ninth with 256. And third in points with 27 points per game. But I think the big question on offense, we know they have the pieces and all that. It's got to be, can Nick Foles duplicate? Is he really the guy going for? Is he really what we saw last year? Can he do it for a second year? I think that's the big question with the Eagles on the offensive side of the ball. I think you guys would agree with that. Right, David?
I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet.
I'm not saying jump on. I'm asking you. So you think it's a question then? That's what I'm saying also. I don't think it's set in stone. Nick Foles is that guy from last year.
No, not at all. Not at all for Nick Foles. I'm not there with everyone yet. I understand how he performed last year. I understand that he led the Eagles to the playoffs. I comprehend that.
I think McCoy deserves that credit. He led the team to the playoffs, but he was a very nice compliment. He was on fire. He didn't create. Yeah, you was talking about Eli Manning earlier in the show about turnovers. Nick Foles had one in like 11 games, something stupid
he did
like
not
that.
turn the ball over, and yes, and I will acknowledge that. Yeah, Nick Foles did a very, very good job of playing it safe, of not turning the ball over, making the right reads, making the right passes, but at the same time, we need to see a little bit more out of him before we label him as a really good quarterback in the NFL. I don't like seeing a guy play for 10 games, 11 games, 12 games, and then saying, he performed this well for this amount of time, that means he's good. We don't know that. We've seen quarterbacks have a good stretch of games and then just end up falling off. So, and it's not even quarterbacks, just players in general. They'll be one-year wonders. We've had so many one-year wonders in the NFL that, you can't count them on this many fingers. So, I'm holding off on Nick Foles for now. Let's wait and see, because I can already see it happening. I'm not saying it's going to, but I can already see ESPN saying, oh man, Nick Foles had such a phenomenal year last year. He had, what was his ratio? 26 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, and he already threw 3 interceptions in the first week of the season. How many times have we seen statistics like that happen? All the time. So before we jump on that bandwagon, I'm saying no to Nick Foles. I'm saying he's a good quarterback. He's a guy to look forward to. And let's hope to God as an Eagles fan that we don't have to play Mark Sanchez. But I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. That's what I would say if I was an Eagles fan.
And I think for all the yards they got, I think they need to score a little bit more points. Maybe I know they're third in the league. Just saying. I don't know. Maybe I'm being greedy by saying that. Even if I'm not an Eagles fan, I guess I'm being a little greedy for all those yards. Their defense, I understand. When you're up in the lead, you play this fast-paced offense. The teams are also gonna try to play catch-up with you or try to stay with you, and so I guess that indicates some of these numbers, like passing against. They were ranked 32nd in the league, dead last, giving up 290 yards through the air. But like I said, when you're in the lead, teams are going to throw the ball and stuff like that. So I think that skewed the numbers just a tad. You know what I'm saying? Maybe by, let's say, 20 yards or whatever. That may not sound like a lot, but 20 yards statistically can bring you up a lot in the defense. So either way, I think they need to work on their secondary. I don't know if they really addressed it in the offseason. I think David can give us more insight on that. But they need to improve on that. Their defense, rushing against, only 10. Once again, when you're up a lot, teams are going to rush the ball. So they were 10th in defense and rush. So that's real good. But like I said, the numbers indicate that. I just wish there were more playmakers on the Eagles' defensive side of the ball. I want to see more turnovers. I want to see more interceptions, more havoc all around. If I'm an Eagles fan, that's what I want to see.
You miss those. As an Eagles fan, you miss those days with Dawkins in the secondary just wreaking havoc. They haven't really had a guy in the secondary like that for a really long time, and yeah, I think they need a ball hawk. They need to find a guy who ends up snagging balls out of the air for them and creating turnovers and helping Nick Foles out and helping the offense. It's a circle. The defense helps out the offense helps out the defense, and if you can get players on both sides of the ball who can do that for you, the Eagles will be fine. But I agree with you. I think if you had to touch on one of the two units, I'm saying the defense probably needs a little bit more help than the offense does right now. So,
remember when remember the Andy Reid, teams? What do you remember about their defense? A lot. Their secondary, right? Playmakers and stuff like that. I want you to take a wild guess how many interceptions they had last year.
The secondary or the team?
The team, period.
13.
13. They had 9.
I was gonna say 9, but it's too low.
9 interceptions as a team last year. This team needs to create turnovers, okay? Especially with an offense like that. When you have teams, how do you only have 9 when you have teams keep continuously throwing the ball against you because you're up? They only had 9 interceptions, and I'm looking at the forced fumbles right now. They were ranked tied for 24th. They only had 10 forced fumbles.
And those weren't even fumble recoveries, were they?
That I'm aware of, no. It just says forced fumbles. So they're just not creating a whole lot of havoc out there. And their pass rush in the top 10, 46 sacks. That's good. Those are good numbers. That's got to stay there. But when you're D-line or when you're getting pressure, you got to take advantage and you got to create these turnovers. So if the Eagles really want to take this division, that's got to improve big time, and especially if they want to be Super Bowl contenders.
I agree with you. Let's do it.
Remember, like the Saints. Like the Saints won their Super Bowl. Great offense, and they had not a great defense, but they had a defense that created turnovers. That defense is not that right now, or wasn't that last year. So that's got to improve big time.
Taking a look at the FanDuel comment box, Cubone Football says something's missing from the Red Zone Blitz. Where's the boot?
Oh man, but who's gonna get the boot?
I don't know who's gonna get the
Who
boot.
deserves the boot?
Hey, let's ask the guys down there. Maybe they can come up with a
Candidates.
couple of candidates down in the FanDuel comment box to give the boot to. The Redskins HTTR says the Eagles this year play a division winner schedule, not a last place schedule, which is kind of, something to consider. Nick Ray says Jordan Matthews makes their team more dynamic. Deshaun Jackson was great, but he was just a go-deep speed guy. And it's interesting to think, I don't know where Jordan Matthews will exactly be put in within that offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they play him all over the place. Maybe a little bit of slot, maybe a little bit on the outside. I think he is that dynamic player who could do that for you.
I just want to say, before I go to the comments, I keep forgetting about this, and I think David too, at the beginning of the show. The Red Zone Blitz is also available via podcast on iTunes for free. So I just wanted to make you guys aware. So if you can't make, the live stream, or your friend wants to listen to the Red Zone Blitz, you don't have to come through YouTube. You can download the podcast on iTunes. It's Red Zone Blitz, and it's free. Just want to let everybody aware, and tell your friends, or download it yourself. Help us out, man. Download it and leave us some reviews. Say David is awesome. Say I have big ears. Whatever you want. Just make sure, you tell us those 5 stars. Okay.
I might have to start putting the link in the comment box down below as well. But we'll have these segments. I don't know about last week's if that one's up yet, but we'll have this one up as well on iTunes as soon as we can get that up. But yeah, Ezra, I actually forgot about doing that as well. And as well as our little, iTunes thing, we also need to give a shout out to FanDuel. FanDuel.com. Me and Ezra are going to be jumping on that really soon. Every single week, guys, on FanDuel, you make your own team, your own fantasy team. Who you think is going to have that breakout week? You put your team together, and you see how it works. You can bet $1, you can bet $5, $100, whatever you want. You can join $1 leagues, and just have a little bit of fun. All you really need to do is check it out. The link is down in the description below. You just click the link, sign up, and that's it. If they ask who referred you, you can type in "Wake Up It's Football." There's also a promo code "Wake Up," and I think they'll give you some sort of additional amount of money on your deposit there. So that's FanDuel.com. Check them out. Again, link is down in the description below. But we will be getting to the Cowboys. Is that right?
No. We got to go through a little more comments here for the guys about the Eagles. We got 18 Lockhart. I love Jordan Matthews to the Eagles. I think he compares to Keenan Allen in some ways, and placing him in a Chip Kelly offense will open up some good opportunities for him in the mid-range passing game. And we got Rios. He's got Nick Foles should do fine. Look at the defenses that play in this division. What else? We got. This is going to lead to the next one. Cubone football. Give Jason Garrett the boot to start off the Cowboys. He is not a head coach. I do agree. I am not a Jason Garrett fan at all. I don't think David is either. But does he really deserve for being a sucky head coach?
I'll tell you who needs to get the boot.
Oh, Jerry?
You got to start right at the top with Jerry Jones.
I don't hate Jerry.
He's a bum.
I put it, guys. This is what I say about Jerry. If David, if Ezra, if Andre Rios, Cubone, Redskins, whoever in the comment box, if we were billionaires, and I hope some of you guys are, all right? I'll send you my email address if you are. You buy a team. We're fanatics. Maybe Jerry Jones was a fanatic before he bought his team. If I'm going to buy a team, I'm going to play with my team, okay? I'm going to draft
players. He's a really bad fanatic.
Man, come on. I'm just saying, who buys it? That's so boring. If I'm a billionaire, I'm thinking about it in my own shoes. If I'm a billionaire and I buy a team, I'm not going to let another person, I'm not going to hire someone else to completely run my team. I'm gonna hire some smart football people, give me some great advice and this and that. But I want to see if I can do it myself. I paid for this team. I really don't hate Jerry Jones. I'm not saying he's he's not killing this team. In some ways, he's not. He's not that terrible. He's had talent on this team that he's picked. Just saying.
Yeah, but they can't win. They're not winning. They're not producing. They're not making it to the playoffs.
I know Jimmy Johnson's going to get all the credit. He's got more Super Bowls than my Jets. Okay? Jerry Jones has got more Super Bowls than my Jets in my lifetime. Just saying.
I'd still give the boot to Jerry Jones.
If you guys say he deserves the boot, okay, all right. We got Nick in the comment box saying he deserves the boot. All right, well that's 3. We got Eli deserves the boot. Ron Landry deserves the boot from 18 Lockhart. Oh man, we got some people in here. The boot's going on everywhere right now. But Jerry Jones, all right. You talk about Jerry Jones. Talk about the draft picks. I'm going to go get the big boot. All right? I'm going to go get the big one.
Oh, no.
Someone's going to get the big boot.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ezra's going to go get the boot. Well, Willify again says Eli needs the boot. Nick says Jerry Jones needs the boot. I said Jerry Jones needs the boot. Let's see here. 18 Lockhart says LaRon Landry needs the boot for missing practice and never showing up for team off-season activities. Cubone also says to give Jerry the boot. Give him the boot. He's ruining the team. He gave a tackle a 8 or 9 year deal for $100 million. Yeah, I think Ezra needs to hear this again once he puts these earpieces in. Ezra.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people are saying Jerry Jones needs a boot.
Should I give him the boot, or what should I give what Jerry really likes?
Give him the super boot.
Should I give him the high heels? That's what Jerry Jones likes. It's pointy too. Go straight up his, you know where, right there. That's what Jerry Jones is gonna get.
Where'd you find that?
What do you mean where I found this?
I hope that's not yours.
Sometimes, bills need to be paid. Red Zone Blitz don't. Red Zone Blitz don't cover it all sometimes. So Jerry Jones, he gets a special boot this week. You think Jerry Jones would like that right there? Yeah, I think he
so.
Like that. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh gosh. That's why we love the Red Zone Blitz.
Oh boy. Yeah, so people are. I hear it. People are talking about it. He deserves the boot. Jerry Jones gets the boot. All right. So did you go through the draft picks
for the Cowboys?
Yeah.
No, because we actually
we're waiting for the boot. Okay.
Yeah, we were waiting for the boot. So if you want to go with their draft selections, draft selections for the Cowboys at the 16th overall pick, again, Zach Martin, the offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Controversy came with this pick because some people felt that Johnny Manziel should have been the player drafted there. DeMarcus Lawrence, the defensive end, was drafted with the 34th overall pick in the second round. Then they didn't draft until the 119th pick. So they had a pretty big gap there. In the fourth round, they went with Anthony Hitchens, the outside linebacker, Devin Street, the wide receiver, in the fifth round, and then they had 5 seventh-round draft picks.
Wait, they didn't pick up Zach Martin? Before the 119th pick?
They had Zach Martin, DeMarcus Lawrence, and then they went and drafted in the 119th overall spot. So they had about 80 picks in between. Mm-hmm. And then they also had 5 seventh-round draft selections, which they spent all on defense.
And you know they needed to work on defense because you remember we're talking about the Redskins giving up 30 points a game? The Cowboys gave up 27 points a game, and they were 30th passed against, with 283. Their rush was 27th in the league. You know, they're just giving up yards left and right. Isn't this statistically the worst Cowboys defense of all time?
I think it was, yeah.
And you know why Tony Romo got back surgery, right? Because he's been carrying this damn team, okay? And that's a problem. He's got this back issue, and Sean Lee, their best defensive players out for the year. Their number one overall defensive player taken, like you said, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's out for what, half the season now? Didn't he break his leg in training camp? So their defense already is starting off on the bad foot, pun intended. Okay, it's just not. It doesn't look good, man. It just doesn't look good already, and this defense sucked last year. And if you want, now you have this health issue with Tony Romo. You always have this health issue with DeMarco Murray, and man, you can't be feeling good if you're a Cowboys fan right now, can you?
I don't think they improved the defense very much.
They got your boy, the defensive tackle from the Bears.
That's it. But I mean, they lose Jason Hatcher. They add Henry Melton. They re-sign Anthony Spencer. They lose DeMarcus Ware. They lose Miles Austin. They lose Ernie Sims. These are, I'm just reading a list of names here. Who else did they lose? Nobody really of. They add Jeremy Mincey at defensive end. Yeah, it just the notable name that they added was Henry Melton. That was a notable name, who I think is going to be good for them. But again, if you want to look at their defense on paper, right now Anthony Spencer looks like he's penciled in at left defensive end. Who is this guy? Sorry, one second. Nick Hayden at defensive tackle, or Terrell McClain. Then you have Henry Melton at D tackle, Jeremy Mincey potentially at right defensive end. That's the front defensive line. You look at their linebacking core without Sean Lee now because he's hurt. Bruce Carter, Anthony Hitchens, and Kyle Wilbur. Secondary: Brandon Carr, J.J. Wilcox, Barry Church, and maybe Orlando Scandrick or Morris Claiborne, but I'm pretty sure it's Morris Claiborne. That's their defense right now.
And like I just said, they gave up all these yards last year. But once again, this is another team that does not force any havoc. They were 26 in the league with 35 sacks, only 12 interceptions, and 13 forced fumbles. You're not wreaking any havoc. Your defense it's in shambles. The offense is getting, like I said, back problems. You got health problems with the running back. You got still a great tight end, but he's up in he's getting older with Jason Witten. The only thing you got for you is you got a top 5 wide receiver, arguably a top 5 wide receiver in Des Bryant. And some people, I think he's cleansed himself. I won't call him a knucklehead anymore, but a lot of people wait that he's a knucklehead. So the Cowboys, I think we may agree on this. They may be the worst team in this division. Or they need the most things to go the right way for this team to really, even though I still think, they're not that far off, and we think they're terrible, but it wouldn't surprise me either it wouldn't surprise me if they win 4 games or win 8 games again.
I don't know why everyone has this preconceived idea that every season for the Cowboys is going to be a winning season because of their history. Okay. For me, every season, for every team, all 32 teams, is a new season where anything can really happen. But with that being said, when you look at the Cowboys' last 3 seasons going 8-8, not really going anywhere. Every year everyone hopes, all right, well maybe they'll win the division with a 10-6 record. Maybe they'll win it. Why are we sitting here every single year before the season starts saying that the Cowboys are going to be the team that wins the division if this and this and this happens? Because when we sit here and actually break things down and kind of forge our own opinions, I'm right there with you. I think the Cowboys could finish dead last in this division. I think they could finish 5-11 because their defense isn't very good. I'm not a fan of Tony Romo. DeMarco Murray's always hurt. What is it? What is so special about the Cowboys that we're sitting here every single year saying, well, they're the team to watch out for because of what? What is it? What is it? I can't identify it. Again, I would not be shocked if the Cowboys finished last in this division.
I think heading into the year, I think we all agree this is the team most likely. If we all had to pick, if we were gun to our heads today, I think all of us will pick the Cowboys are finishing last in this division. They really don't have it going for them. And if they want stuff to go the right way for them, Jason Garrett's got to do something he really doesn't. It's rely on the running game this year. Not because, because you know me, I'm a big-time Tony Romo guy, but heading into this year, he's got these health issues, and you want the defense off the field. You just want that defense off the field, my man, okay? They got to run the ball a lot more this year, and especially in critical situations. And when they have the lead, run the ball. It's like Jason Garrett has the lead, and he still decides to throw the ball 3 straight times. A lot of people kill Tony Romo when he makes these critical interceptions and stuff like that. But Jason Garrett puts him in these situations too many times. Also, Jason Garrett, okay, after the Cowboys, I really believe they're probably going to finish last in this division, under 7 wins. Jerry's going to give him the heel. He's going to give him the heel. Forget about the boo. He's going to give him one. You know that. One of these at the end of the year, and he deserves it. He deserves it now, but it's too late. It's just the Cowboys just don't have it going for them right now. It just doesn't look good at all. I'm sorry for Cowboys fans, even though, America's team. But you got to look in the mirror, and you got to look at their team on paper. That just not – it's not a good makeup, man. You just got too many health issues. Too many.
I think, if we want to break down a division winner, right now I'm going to say the Eagles. I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win this division, even though I never really know before the year starts. I'm gonna pick the Eagles.
I'm gonna be a jerk and go with the Giants.
I don't know why you're a jerk for that.
I'm just saying.
Let's get to the comment box before we pick
really
an
tough.
MVP.
It's tough though, man. It's tough to pick a division winner in this division. But I do agree with you. Eagles on paper look the most balanced and most equipped team to win this division.
I'm gonna head down to the comment box really quickly before we pick an MVP and head out tonight. Cubone Football says 8-8 would be a luxury for the Cowboys. Andre Rios says people are getting fired next year. Let's see. Morris Claiborne has been inconsistent and was a waste of the number 6 pick in that loaded draft class, says 18 Lockhart. He also says that they could finish last and all the season ticket holders will have those unique playoff tickets they just gave out before the season.
Starkey Sharkey, Cowboys had one of the worst off seasons in NFL history. I wouldn't go that far. They needed to go get a better defense in round 1 out of the draft, but Jerry Jones gets Zach Martin. Horrible pick. Disagree with that. They need to do something about that idiot who is Jerry Jones. I agree with that, but that's not going to happen. Kyle Breeze, at least Jerry didn't draft Johnny Football and made a smart choice.
I said this last week. I think it was last week. It could be a smart choice. And, we don't know how Johnny Manziel is going to turn out.
I wish the Jets drafted him.
Okay.
Just saying.
I wouldn't have touched him. I don't.
Well, you don't need to. You got Aaron Rodgers. Sorry.
I'm saying if I'm the general manager of any franchise that needed a quarterback and he was available and he was on the board, I wouldn't have touched him.
Well, you wouldn't be chilling with LeBron and Johnny Football in the club then. Okay?
It's fine. I don't want to. I don't want to chill in the club with LeBron and Manziel and Mayweather in the club. I want to win a Super Bowl.
Want to win a Super Bowl. Redskins. Lawrence is out for 8 to 12 weeks or a month. So, like I said, he's out for at least half the year. Not looking good.
I think that's about it for most of the comments.
No, I see. Redskins. Dallas has the worst defense in NFC East. Rio's Cowboys will have the worst defense in the league next year. Morris, 18 Lockhart, Morris Claiborne has been inconsistent. Has been a waste of a number 6 pick in that loaded draft class. And Nick, he writes, didn't Claiborne get injured too? That's just their biggest problem. They need to upgrade that medical staff, don't they, huh? Quentin Gray. Tony Romo's a good QB. Yes, he is. And he had 8 straight seasons with a passer rating of 90+. However, he is the worst when it comes to the clutch.
Ding, 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 ding.
I just want to give a little fun fact, a little idiot sports talk fact here. Snapple fact, whatever fact. FanDuel fact here. The last 3 years, guess who leads the league and comeback wins? Tony Romo, 13. Just saying.
Congratulations. Too bad none of them have gotten him in the playoffs.
I'm just saying. Just wanted to give that little fact there. My boy, I definitely wish he was on the Jets.
Oh, let's not forget, because Andre Rios reminded me, he says, Dave, I know you remember the Green Bay game. I had to make a video about that game afterwards because the Giants completely demolished my Green Bay Packers in the first half of that game. But let me tell you what, Matt Flynn came back and won that game for the Green Bay Packers over the Dallas Cowboys in a thriller. I had not been that excited since the Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers. And he did it over Tony Romo. Matt Flynn.
He did it over that defense. He did it over that defense.
You did it over that defense.
Remember, come on. That game versus
but he was dueling Romo.
That game versus the Denver Broncos. Come on, Tony. You see, Tony Romo. That defense let him down, but Tony Romo gets slammed. It's all right, though. It's cool.
The defense was bad. Historically bad. Historically bad. It was terrible.
That's why his back got hurt. He was carrying 52 other players.
Look, Ezra, I want you to do something every time this happens because it seems like it's happened the last 3 years. Don't pay attention to what the Cowboys do for the first 15 weeks. I want you to watch Tony Romo play the last 3 games of the season, and that's all you need to know.
No.
That's it.
No, that just doesn't work like that. Okay? It's like saying Peyton. It's like if I'm gonna believe that, it's like me believing that Peyton Manning is not a big-time player in big games. You know how people said that about Peyton Manning for all these years. Peyton Manning, he's all great and all, but he comes up short when it's a big game. No, I'm not gonna believe in that. Not going with that hype, that stupidity. Just not. No, it's just not me. Sorry. Okay? Just because I saw a couple of interceptions and moments when they needed touchdowns or a first down. Okay, I've seen that a couple times from Tony Romo. But deep down inside, I know what he's all about.
Yeah, well, you know. I don't know what to say anymore about Romo. I think he's probably the player that we've talked about most ever on the Red Zone Blitz out of all the episodes we've had.
I don't know. I think we spoke about some Tim Tebow a lot too. Tim Tebow gets, even though he's not even in football anymore, he still gets some shine.
Yeah. Well, let's pick an MVP and call it a night. I think Mansimish just came in late. Let's see. I mean, Andre Rios came tonight. Starkey Sharkey came tonight.
Q-Bone football, 18 Lockhart.
Nick
Ray was here for most of the night tonight. Usually he comes a little late. You know, he's busy with the ladies or his businesses. I don't know what he does. He usually comes a little late, but tonight he was strong and consistent. So Nick, shout out to you. Thank you for coming by.
Redskins HTTR was here earlier on.
Yep, and he says I deserve the boot. He didn't specify. Wait, Starkey. I just saw this comment by Starkey Sharkey. Okay, who has bigger ears, Julius Peppers or me? Are you serious? Was that necessary? Wow, that's what if I
Oh man.
what if I Ezra big ear Ezra?
Hey,
Okay,
who
take
said
it.
that? Who said that?
What if I?
Willify said the ear joke.
He said no. Starkey Sharkey asked that question. He asked about Julius Peppers and me.
Starkey Sharkey's my MVP of the night. That was the best
Unbelievable.
comment all night.
Wow.
He just won me over with one comment. That's my MVP right
It
there.
was a question. It wasn't even a comment.
Doesn't even matter. That's a great question.
And it makes no sense because I said it a million times here. My ears aren't big. They just pop out. Look, guys, if I put them back, they're just, look, if I put them back, they're normal.
Real quick, giving a shout out to my girlfriend. She says McNutt has to be the MVP tonight.
McNutt?
McNutt is always the MVP on the Red Zone Blitz.
Is it? You know what? I'm gonna keep that to myself. Oh, so much right now. David's girlfriend said McNutt is the MVP tonight. That's all I've got to say. That's all I got to say. I want to give a huge shout out to Super Hippo. Okay, he was here a half an hour before the show started, leaving a comment. I think that's like he only left like 3 comments, but he was here for a half an hour before the show started, so he deserves a huge shout out. But you know, I'm gonna go with Cubone football tonight as my MVP.
Good pick. I was gonna say
Rios too. Rios deserves some.
I was gonna say Andre Rios or Cubone, but Starkey Sharkey won me with one question, man. I'll tell you what. That was a great question by Starkey.
Stupid question. Very stupid question.
All right, guys. I'm going to be in Texas next week, so I will not be able to make.
He's gonna be chilling with Jerry Jones after Slay. You gonna be in Dallas, and you talking all this smack about Jerry and Tony Romo?
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I'm going to Dallas.
You better say goodbye to David because this possibly might be his last show ever here on the Red Zone Blitz. He's talking all this smack, talking about Jerry Jones and Tony Romo.
You know what's funny is I'm actually doing a tour in AT&T Stadium. I'm gonna be in Jerry's house. I'm gonna be in Jerry's world on the 12th. So I'm gonna actually make a video.
Let's just hope you come out of it, okay? Or you might be wearing this the next time on the Red Zone Blitz after chilling with Jerry. But I don't think black is your color. Maybe like purple or green. I think that fits you a little bit more.
No. I might actually take a trip down. I'm going down to Houston, but I don't know if I'm gonna go to Reliance Stadium and check that out as well. But we'll see.
One last question to the guys in the comment box. What division should we do next? And we'll save that for the next show.
Yeah, hopefully we can get one going. I don't know. You want to check your calendar really quickly?
Check the calendar.
Dude.
Oh, I'm going to be off next Monday, kid. I know that. Let me check the calendar.
I can't do it next Monday, though.
Oh, well, Sunday.
Can you do the 17th?
The 17th. Oh, I could not. I got a birthday cruise I have to go on, or she will kill me. Okay? my lady friend will kill me if I'm not on this cruise.
What about the 18th?
Doing some with the cruise. The 18th, that's a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good for the 18th. Oh, you want to wait that long?
I'm going to be in Texas for 10 days. I don't have my laptop. I'm not going to have anything.
When do you come back? The 13th?
I come back the 14th.
The 14th. So the 15th, 16th. Oh, man. All right, I guess we'll have to save for the 18th, man. We might have to stick 2 Red Zone Blitz in 1 week. Or 2 divisions, or 2 Red Zone Blitz in 1 week, so we can get these divisions done before the football season starts. And one last thing, soon, follow me and David on Twitter and Facebook. Soon I'm going to be opening up my Idiot Sports Talk Fantasy Football League, and hopefully some of you guys can join and get your butt spanked by the man. Just saying.
I would be in that league, but I'm tired of having 3 and 4 fantasy teams. I don't want to keep track of all that. I'm going to have 1 maybe this year. So I'm going to pick wisely. It could be with you, Ezra, but there's a chance my friends and my buddies do it, so I might just do a fantasy team.
No, do what you got to do. Don't run scared. I understand.
But anyway, everybody now knows that the 18th is the next time we'll have a Red Zone Blitz. We're gonna probably have either 2 divisions in 1 episode or 2 episodes of the Red Zone Blitz in 1 week. We'll figure it out, but Again, check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We will keep you guys posted and updated on all that stuff there. I'm Dave from Wake Up It's Football. That's Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk.
Thanks, guys.
And we're out.